Apple just finished the event, their One More Thing event, and they've announced 3 new hardware products: the MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro 13-inch, and the Mac Mini. I just wanted to basically look at the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro 13-inch and basically see which one is the one to buy. Now, of course, we haven't got them yet. I will be getting the MacBook Pro 13-inch next week, so I'll be able to test that and tell you guys what I think of it. As I always say, I'm a small channel, so I will be able to answer all your questions. If you have any questions about these laptops, I'll be getting them next week. So when I make those videos, in the comment section, just ask me whatever you want and I'll try and answer every single question. Now, to get onto this video, and the point of this video is to figure out which one is the one you should get. The MacBook Air, as beautiful as it looks and as powerful as they've explained in the event, I still think the MacBook Air has a bit of a problem in terms of where it fits in with things. Because what the big thing about the MacBook Air is meant to be the size, it's light, easy to move around, the portability. But the problem is the MacBook Pro 13-inch is just as portable. So now Apple are really pushing the power of the new MacBook Air. And I actually think that's actually creating an even bigger problem, because now if the power is getting increased, then it's now competing with the MacBook Pro 13-inch. So the question is, which one should you buy? And I always lean towards the MacBook Pro. So I just want to quickly go through and basically spec out the 13-inch MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air, and we can just quickly have a look at what the pricing looks like. So here's the MacBook Air. So there is 2 actually slightly different versions. The one with the 8-core GPU versus the one with the 7-core GPU. And if we look at the MacBook Pro, we have the one with the 8-core. So if we look at this just straight based on pricing, we can see that $14.99 here for the MacBook Pro, and then $12.49. So that isn't an insignificant difference money-wise, it has to be said. So let's see. So if we let's select this one, and we'll give it 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte, and that's it. So they don't let you select the processors anymore, which to me I kind of like. I kind of like that it's kind of uniform and there's just less choice, to be honest. There's less chance of people making a mistake. So let's see. And then I think we'll go with the 8-core GPU. And then 1 terabyte, 16 gigs of RAM. And we have $16.49 for that and $18.99. So there is a very definite price difference. But the problem is, in my opinion, if you look at just the stats as they are, then these are basically the same machine, right? And just in terms of the internals, to me, I still think that the 13-inch MacBook Pro is the way to go. But I must be honest, I'm quite surprised how competitive the MacBook Air is price-wise. I think actually, to kind of backtrack on what I said originally, maybe they have fixed it a little bit in the problem with it where it sits. But for me, the base price that you see, the $999, is a little bit misleading, because the fact is, if you're going to have a more powerful computer, you're going to maybe, if you want to do, for example, 4K video editing, 256 gigabyte storage, which is not going to be enough. You're going to fill that super quick if you're going to be doing any kind of video editing. So it's an interesting one, actually. It is interesting. I actually think $12.49, is that a good price? It all depends on how good this M1 chip is. If this M1 chip is just out of this world, then maybe this could be actually a master stroke and a really good price. There is still the difference still between the MacBook Pro and the Air is still, they still have the differences in terms of touch bar. The MacBook Pro has a touch bar, the Air doesn't. But then the Air doesn't have a vent anymore. a fan anymore. So that means it's going to be basically as silent as an iPad Pro, which sounds super cool. Because that was a big problem with the old Air. It's so loud. They had one fan and it was overcompensating. It wasn't good at all. So yeah, so actually this could be a good choice. This is actually the model I went for, $18.99, the 16 gigabyte memory, unified memory. Not sure what that means. So I guess we'll find that out soon. And so next week I'll be getting this model and I'll be testing that against the 16-inch MacBook Pro from this year. So it's going to be really interesting. The 16-inch MacBook Pro, in my experience, has been really good, really powerful. It's just gone through everything really well. I'll say kudos to Apple for not increasing the pricing of the MacBooks. It looks like the saving that they've done by getting their own chips and moving away from Intel, they're passing on to the customers somewhat by not increasing the prices. So that's good to see. And yeah, I'm quite surprised. I think the MacBook Air now is actually useful. It's actually got a place. It's no longer in this weird position where it feels like it's competing with MacBook Pro, though it kind of still is, because internals wise it's basically the same. Man, so this was a bit of a rambly video. I don't know if you got anything from that, but what you should get from it is that next week I'll have the 13-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 chip. So stay tuned to the channel. Please subscribe. If you found this video good, like it, and I'll catch you in the next one. The road to 1,000 subscribers is still on. So thank you for watching.